before we start, hopefully you're having a good day. And I'm also hoping that you've been doing the whole didgeridoo thing in your head at the start of these last episodes. If you have been, great, good job. If not, it's okay. You can do it now. Just do it in your head and have fun. Okay, enjoy the episode.
What's that? Howls from the woods? Movement under the water? Something that you notice out of the corner of your eye, but you look, it's gone? This is Cryptid Talk. Hello, everyone. How is everyone doing today on this fine Friday? Woo! It's Friday. We made it to the week. Woo! High fives all around. Fist bumps. Woo! Thank goodness it is Friday, because oh my gosh. Obviously, everyone knows how it is. You go to the work week, you're like, why? Just not fun at all. Also, if for any reason I sound like I make some sort of like little or like little pain noise or anything like that, or I sound a little more tired than usual, I hurt my back, and it's not been fun. I was doing something in one particular movement, just pulled or strained something in my back. I'm a lot better now compared to how I've been before, and I was like, I can't move. Ooh, even breathing hurts. Oh God, never fun like that at all. So, if anything like that comes up, to let you know and apologize. I'll try to keep any the unnecessary noise that does not involve cryptozoology is coming from my voluptuous voice. Though hopefully it doesn't distract you or anything like that. Guess before, how's everyone doing? Did everyone have a good week? Is everyone ready for the weekend? For sure I am, because I'm slowly getting ready for the festival in Ellisburg, something Berg. I'm not sure. Some people have been telling me that it's pronounced one way, and I'm like, just Central Pennsylvania Bigfoot Paranormal Festival. You figure out how it's pronounced. But yeah, so I'm getting ready for that. Got a bunch of shirts that we'll be putting the designs on and everything like that. So it's coming along. It's getting very exciting. And I hope you're doing well too. And I hope everyone here is also ready for the weekend, because I sure am. I definitely am. I'm ready for a nice, relaxing weekend to let the rest of my back calm itself down. So, give the weekend so everything can go all well and everything like that. But before we start, if you haven't already, this is your first time here, welcome. Welcome to the show. Glad to have you here. And if you haven't already, follow the Facebook page, facebook.com/cryptidtalk. And if you're on this first time listening to the show as well, make sure you subscribe and make sure you subscribe, and hit that little bell icon right there. Ding! You get notified by any updates and everything like that, and for the channel and everything. So, go do it. Come on. I'll wait a second. All right, there's your second. I even gave you a little extra just in case. So, last week originally, I thought. Right now we were doing the Australia cryptids extravaganza and everything. And last week, as I was going, I'm thinking like, all right, there's all right. Well, here's this first episode. We did Megalania. Second, we did the Australian Yowie, and then last week we did the remaining cryptids, some of the not as well known one or not as much information and stuff like that. But then, and I'm thinking, okay, that's the end. That's the end of the special. Well, if you listened to last week's episode, I had an epiphany mid episode of like, oh my god, I forgot about the most important cryptid for Australia, and I feel so silly and dumb that I completely forgot about it. Honestly, this probably is one of the most, I would put up there as probably one of the most top 5 important cryptids in the world, at least to me, I would say. And if you've already you already saw the title of the video, so you already know what we're talking about. But last week when I mentioned it, I was like, and I kind of like when I had the realization, I never said what it was. And I said, well, if you wanted to find out what it was, make sure you tune in today. And that's what we're doing today. So the cryptid that we are talking about today, one of the most important in Australia's history and everything, is the drumroll please, the Tasmanian tiger, or also known in Australia the Thylacine. Now you might be thinking, what? Like, it's like, sure, Tasmanian tiger. The heck's a Thylacine? Well, my dear viewers, listeners, yes, that's the correct term, because you're not watching, you're listening to my voice. Um, I am the same boat with so many other people. When I first heard about the Tasmanian tiger, that's what I heard as the Tasmanian tiger. And then, and like, I think on like Monster Quest and other specials and shows, stuff like that, they're talking like, now this episode we talk about the Thylacine. And I'm like, the heck's a Thylacine? And then obviously, then listening to it and everything, I'm like, oh, it's another word for the Tasmanian tiger. Ew. Okay, that clears up a whole lot of things. So that was one big thing in my life that I figured out, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm now smarter because of it. So yes, the Tasmanian tiger. So all right, so now you may be thinking like, it's like, wait, Mike, like, why is this considered such an important cryptid? You know, like, and anything like that. Like I've seen books about it. Yeah, there are, but supposedly in the scientific world, and as far as many parts of the world is, you know, as sure as they say, that the Tasmanian tiger is extinct. So you're like, wait, if it's extinct, then why is it a cryptid? You know, like, it's like, well, we're gonna get to that. So the Tasmanian tiger was a very well known species that lived in Australia and Tasmania, which Tasmania is a little island just south of the southeastern part of Australia. Just a little island. If you gotta look at it a little bit, kind of looks like Ohio a little bit. Yeah, well, just use your imagination, you'll see it. And so, all right, so yeah, so it was a very well-known animal. But then, when English settlers started coming over here and everything like that, there were, animal, they were, they began to bring their livestock and their sheep, trying to start a new life there. And then a bunch of their sheep started coming up, dying, and everything, and all these killings and everything, and came to a point that hunters, started thinking like, oh my god, this thing. Now, whether or not anyone ever saw it, it was more or less they found it the day, like the morning of or afterwards. They go to bed, nighttime comes, and then they finally find their dead sheep, and everyone pointed towards the Tasmanian tiger being the one that did it. And unfortunately, then started a whole thing of for every Tasmanian tiger that was brought in, that they would there was pretty much a bounty on the Tasmanian tiger. Hold on, let me see if we can find the thing real quick. And there's a bounty. They pretty much started to hunt down thylacines, and were claiming bounty for every single one that was, and they became extremely hard to find after the fact. I can't find without if I searched a little bit more, I probably could find it, but the bounty that was was made for it, and unfortunately, it was because of this that the possible blame that these creatures were blamed for killing all these livestock pretty much killed off the species in mainland Australia, and then to a point, and even on in Tasmania. So as far as people aware, they all went extinct. When then, but in 1928, they created a thing to protect the Tasmanian tiger, and it's like, oh wow, you finally do this now. But unfortunately, the last one died in captivity in 1936. If you've ever looked up footage of the Tasmanian tiger, you see that black and white footage of it in a cage. It's like one like the like I think pretty much like the only known confirmed footage of a Tasmanian tiger, living. And that was the very last one. Unfortunately, it then did die in 1936. That's right. His name was Benjamin. And unfortunately, the zookeeper think didn't take the best care of it, and unfortunately, it did die in captivity, which, known to the world, was the last known Tasmanian tiger to ever exist, or so they thought. Ever since then, stories of people seeing a real life Tasmanian tiger are popping up all over the place in Tasmania, even surprisingly in mainland Australia, which, as far as everyone is aware, even just in general, the animal should be completely extinct. They were hunted to extinction, and then dingoes and Tasmanian devils didn't really help them much. Especially dingoes didn't help them much in trying to keep their population alive, and like the competition was just too much. Excuse me. And the dingoes just pretty much just you know supposedly finished off any of the remaining ones. But and yet, why are there still these stories, people clearly seeing it, and some very interesting video and pictures that do pop up every so often of showing a real life living Tasmanian tiger. Some of the videos like God, this quality is so bad, this quality is a little bit better, or just something. We'll be able to get a good look of the creature. Sorry. Having a sore back and it really does wear you out today. And so yeah, so every so often there is some really good footage that does pop up, and because it's kind of hard. Tasmanian tigers have a very unique look to them and a very unique like structure to their bodies and how they are, and that may be a weird way of saying it, but it's really interesting when you really do think about it, because like they oh yeah, by the way, again, Tasmanian tigers are marsupial. I believe they are the biggest marsupial species in the world. I believe so, because I think um unless kangaroos are bigger, maybe it's either gonna be the kangaroo or a Tasmanian tiger would probably be, well, now would probably be the largest known um, marsupial in the world. But it would be between either a kangaroo or a Tasmanian tiger. Anyhow, so it is a marsupial, so it does carry and it takes care and birth its offspring in its pouch, like every marsupial does in some form or fashion. Like again, North America, we have the only other marsupial species that doesn't live in Australia, because every other marsupial species lives in Australia. The only one that does it is the opossum, or just the possum. I don't know why I go with opossum. That's technically like the scientific way, the opossum, but let's go with the possum. Yeah, but like the little scary little guys that fake playing possum and everything. And like if you listen to the very first episode, I mentioned it there. But yeah, they are a marsupial, and even though they look a little scary and stuff like that, in a way, they're actually pretty adorable. I'm not gonna lie. But the little baby ones, they just clean the little mother's back, and they're just like these. It's like it's carrying around a little tent on his back. Have you ever seen pictures or videos of a bunch of baby possums on the mother's back? Very interesting, weird at the same time, but also very cute. Anyhow, so that Tasmanian tiger, was been out. People have been seeing it to this day. Some people, some of these videos and pictures showing a supposed Tasmanian tiger, some of them are not the best, and some of them are a little hard to tell, but some of them are pretty decent. And even though there are people who, as clear as day, either in the daylight or the car light, the headlight of their cars has the full shine of the creature right there, and they're like, they can clearly see his day. It's like, that's a Tasmanian tiger. I can't, you know, I can't. What's the word I'm looking for? Come on. I cannot. Oh my gosh! Why can I not think of the word? Uh, oh my goodness gracious! I am just having a major brain fart. I am so sorry. They can. That's not the word I'm looking for. But yeah, but they can't be confused that they are seeing something else when they can clearly see like because. All right, so let's get. So I kind of talked about it a little bit, the look of it, but the Tasmanian tiger has a very interesting shape where it has a very long, stiff tail that kind of goes like an angle a little bit, but it's very unique and it's like whenever you see like any sort of like anything about Tasmanian tiger, you clearly see that is not a normal tail like other animals. It's very strange. And then of course then the identifiable mark of what makes it that gives its name the Tasmanian tiger is that on its rear, its back lower its lower back, it pretty much has stripes like a tiger. So as and name giving the name Tasmanian tiger. The other very interesting thing about it is that excuse me, that it can open its jaw not exactly but pretty close to 180 degrees. Now, it might be more accurately to maybe like somewhere between like 140 and like 160, something like that, or maybe a little. But like the fact that it can open its jaw up pretty wide is pretty spectacular. And in a place like Australia, you've got to be built pretty tough to be able to survive there and to be able to hunt there as well. And it's a it's a very cool creature nonetheless. And honestly, I think out of any cryptid I'd want to see in Australia, more so than I think I would probably want to be the Tasmanian tiger, more so than a Yowie, Megalania, or any other ones we've talked about. I think the Tasmanian tiger would be one of the most fascinating ones to see because as far as people are aware or the world's aware, if I saw one of these things, I'd be like, you're not supposed to exist, and yet here you are. And that would just be honestly, I think besides seeing Bigfoot, maybe even Dogman, I think Tasmanian tiger would probably be one of the cryptids I would probably want to see the most after that because it's something that should be gone. People, and yet there are still stories that pop up of it, and yet it's kind of like it's just something that just shouldn't be here anymore. And yet I would like be like, holy crap, there it is. But of course, like every other cryptid and everything like that, these animals are elusive. Now, how many there are out there, we'll never know. Because as far as even though there are some stories that pop up here and there on mainland Australia, most of these stories and accounts come from Tasmania, the last known original place that they were supposed to live. And now the unfortunate thing that one of their biggest competitors back then, I guess even till today, would be the dingo. So a lot of times, a lot of experts who have tried looking for the Tasmanian tiger, have always said that if there are dingoes around, chances are the Tasmanian tiger is not, or something along those lines, because that's that is their biggest competitor, and they don't want to have to be in an area that compete for food and water and resources. So they head to other locations where there are not dingoes, where they have greater chances of finding the food and water that they need. And it's interesting because in one stories of the Tasmanian tiger today, there's not many. There are a few stories that I have heard, because again there are thousands of stories and I haven't heard them all, of people saying that they have clearly seen at least one or two Tasmanian tiger plus little ones with it. So in some way, the Tasmanian tiger is still breeding to this day, which shows a possible chance at their survival being done naturally in the wild, and I hope that is true. Now, I will get into it later that there is something else that when the science is trying to do to try to bring back the Tasmanian tiger, but we will get to that in a little bit. So the other thing I also forgot to mention is is the height of the creature. It's about 2 feet tall from the shoulders and about 4 feet in length. And so I was like, you know what, at 2 feet, that doesn't sound very tall in a way. So I kind of compared the dimensions of it. I just picked like a random dog breed. I picked I think a Labrador, and believe it or not, the Labradors are kind of roughly around the same size as a Tasmanian tiger. So maybe a little smaller or something along those lines, probably a little bigger. But that's generally what I say. So if you want to get an idea of how big a Tasmanian tiger is, and you have a lab, kind of look at that. Kind of look at your dog, and that'll give you an idea at least. Obviously not perfect, but at least give you something. So what's so very cool about the look of the Tasmanian tiger is that how much of like a hybrid like animal it looks like, kind of like the okapi a little bit. Now the okapi again is a known animal that's still alive today, but that thing looks like it's a combination of like three animals. It's got the stripes of a zebra, it's got like the brown color of like a horse, and yet its head is kind of very giraffe like, which if you've listened to the first episode, and I talked about it in more detail, but they pretty much are a relative of giraffes. So that kind of like explains that a little bit. Of like, it's like, oh wait, oh, okay, that makes sense. That's why it looks like it, because it is a relative. But now, why it looks like that? That would be kind of interesting. Hold on, I just got an idea of a possible episode. Why animals look the what way they do. Sorry, if I do not write some of this down, I will forget. There's a few ideas I've had that I did not write down immediately, and I have forgotten about them because my memory is stinky duty sometimes. Anyhow, crackers. Oh yeah, so it has like the look kind of like the okapi, so it looks like a little, even though it's not as like crazy looking as like an okapi does. For comparing itself to the other animals that live in Australia, Tasmanian tiger is a very unique looking animal, and it looks very hybrid like. I'll put a picture of it because I know there's other things on the Facebook page I have to catch up on posts, but I will try to put a picture of a Tasmanian tiger on the Facebook page, facebook.com/cryptid talk, so you can get an idea of what a Tasmanian tiger looks like today. Not looks like, because I personally believe it's still alive. There are too many stories of people saying they've seen it, and it's these especially people who are natives, people who've lived in Australia for their entire lives. Sure, some of these people who may have seen them may not have been around when they were still alive, but the fact that people they it's kind of like one of those things that when people live in an area for like their entire life, especially going by generations, and they see the wildlife they have there all the time, they're used to the animals. So it's like, oh yeah, I know what a dingo looks like. I know what this. I know what a koala looks like. I know what a wallaby looks like. Kangaroo and everything. They know these animals look like. So it's like it does, like, sure, could there be some that they might be misidentified? Possibly, like for like a dog or maybe like a dingo, something like that, in the proper thing, maybe. But yet, the Tasmanian tiger still has a very unique look to it that you just can't, misidentify it. That was the word I was looking for earlier. Misidentify. Ah, I got it. I knew I'd get it at some point. But especially the people who have gotten a very good look at it. Nothing obstructing it. No, like nothing that would, obstruct the view of you looking at the creature. Seeing like, boom, it is right in front of me, clear as day or clear as headlights at night, and I can tell that's what it is. Like, it's no question about it. That's what it is. So I've always liked, it just adds some. I mean, I believe there are too many stories of people saying they've gotten a good look at this thing not to believe that it's not real. Now, so all right, so if that's the case, then like, why hasn't anyone really found one? I mean, like, there are people who have been, ever since then, have been looking for the Tasmanian tiger for a very long time. Again, ever since then, ever since they so-called went extinct, and then their videos, pictures of them popping up, of people seeing them, like, no, that's not possible. The last one died in 1936. But in that case, then what are people seeing? So it could just be one of those things that the animals have learned, because I think animals are a lot smarter in many aspects than people than we give them credit for. And I think that's something that would probably people are like, oh, it's just an animal, it's a dumb animal. No, I think animals are smart enough to a point to realize that humans equal danger, so stay away from them. Dingoes are jerks, so let's stay away from them. Ooh, I live in this nice little secluded area where I have food and water and I have nothing to worry about. I'm gonna chill out here. And it's in the middle of nowhere. Ah, my kind of environment. And I think that's probably part of it, that they just live so remotely in some areas that people just don't go there. And yeah, sure, like, off the top of my head, I don't even want to try and make up a thing. Like, I don't know what the reproductive cycle of a Tasmanian tiger is. Like, I'm not comparing it, but there are some animals that they can't reproduce like they're not able to reproduce for like I could be wrong, but I believe that the sturgeon like has a very long time before they can start breeding. When can sturgeon breed? Hmm. Da, 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 captivity. Ah, nah, I don't want to go too deep into this and anything like that. But yeah, but I just remember the one thing about sturgeon, that it takes a very long time for them to get to the age to be able to reproduce. I think it was something crazy like between like 20 and 30 years, maybe living a little more than that before they're actually able to breed. So that's why sturgeon are having a very tough time trying to stay about, because people fish them, especially when they're younger, and then don't let them grow up to be the big size that they need, the adults, so that they can breed and produce more. And when they catch them too young, and they kind of like they don't let them breathe, and that's what's kind of killing that population of sturgeon. Now, I'm no way at all comparing a Tasmanian tiger to a sturgeon, because I personally don't know what the breeding cycle is for a Tasmanian tiger, since it is more of like a mammal slash marsupial kind of creature. It probably would be not as bad as something like a fish. That's a whole other craziness right there, and it's probably more oh my goodness, probably a lot more regulated or normal than what normal species probably have. Probably somewhere between like the 5 to 10 years that the animals they can maybe even a little less than that, but can start breeding and producing young. And so ever since then, since the mid 1930s, small groups of them probably went up to nature, staying away from humans, and are slowly repopulating. Now, obviously, for it to happen, you do need a male and you do need a female, and so at some point there has to be enough of them in little pockets here and there for them to be able to do that, and then hopefully, without a case of you know who knows for sure. I'm taking shots in the dark here. I'm not proclaiming anything like that, but who knows? Maybe at some points, you know, maybe inbreeding's a thing. Now, normally, inbreeding in general, people, animals, is never a good thing, because there's always problems with that, especially in captivity with tigers and everything like that. Anytime places ever tried having similar bloodlines mating with each other in some form or fashion, produced offspring that were very aggressive, unpredictable, and just very dangerous. So again, who knows with Tasmanian tigers or anything like that? Maybe that's not a problem for them or something like that. And I'm not even saying that they even do, but just throwing off a possibility of like, all right, well, why? What's going on? Like, why? With that, but who knows? It's obviously I like to think I have no idea how many Tasmanian tigers there are alive today. I would like to think maybe a few hundred. That might even be saying a lot because I think it's probably might be even a little less than that because who knows how long it takes them because math hold on I get hold on I gotta do some quick math because head math is definitely not my strong suit at all whatsoever. Okay, yeah, okay, yeah. So it's been about almost 88 years since the Tasmanian tiger, supposedly went extinct. And so there would at least been roughly, well, maybe, depending on when they breed, maybe between like 8 to 10 generations or so, maybe a little more, a little less of them being born if they were able to, excuse me, oftenly enough, breed on a normal cycle. So maybe over time that maybe they can slowly start to reproduce and everything like that, and hopefully, like we can, maybe within the next 5, 10, maybe 20 years, maybe we'll finally be able to have Tasmanian tigers maybe in like in zoos or in some sort of protection or anything like that where people can actually study them and everything. Because all right, so but how's that possible? Well, my dear listener, that's how we're getting to a point that I brought up earlier, where, believe it or not, humans are trying to clone Tasmanian tigers. There are a few fetuses of the Tasmanian tiger in jars that they are trying to take the DNA from it and clone a living Tasmanian tiger. Okay, so here, I'm going to read the little article here real quick. This little section that talks about the cloning part real quick so I don't miss anything information. Quote, plans to clone a thylacine were made by the Australian Museum in 1999. In late 2002, scientists were able to extract DNA from a thylacine pup preserved in an alcohol container. In 2005, all plans to clone a thylacine failed after finding the DNA was too badly degraded. In 2008, at the University of Texas, scientists were able to reconstruct a bone gene, which was from 100-year-old ethanol mixed thylacine tissue samples from museums. Samples of the same bone gene were injected inside a mice embryo and came back surprising results. In 2013, there were plans to de-extinct many extinct animals, including the thylacine. End quote. So that's just one little part right here that talks about it, of plans of what they're trying to do to make possible. So it seems like that it is possible. Now, then that is the one tough thing that of doing this, where it's like you can, because we don't have, at least at the moment, like a Tasmanian tiger to breed from, like, so we're gonna have to inject it into another creature to be able to do that job for us. It's kind of like what they're also doing with the woolly mammoth. There are the woolly mammoth is also, excuse me, yeah. The woolly mammoth is also another animal that they are trying to de-extinct, as they mentioned in the article, because there are plenty of like frozen woolly mammoths that have been found, and their plans are that they would be able to work in a way where they can then inject the DNA into the embryo into an elephant, where an elephant would then give birth to a woolly mammoth. That's the plan. It's one of those things that has just been talking about for so long, and like it's one of those things you see on like a TV special and everything. Yeah, I've seen for both of them, and then there's a special about it, and then nothing. It gets quiet for a while. You really don't hear much until like a major breakthrough happens. We're like, okay, all right, here's the Tasmanian. I was like, oh, here's our big thing. Like, all right, here's like resurrecting the woolly mammoth resurrected or something like that, where they pretty much have another special, their up to date information on where they are with it, any challenge they've approached or anything like that, and that's how they start bringing up the whole thing of, all right, this is what we're going on. This is like the big breakthrough we've had, and so and it's kind of like that whole thing where they've also said that they've also want to try to bring back dinosaurs back. It's like, people, I got a movie series that I could point you towards that tells you it's not a good idea. Now, now people have obviously been talking about bringing back dinosaurs back to life and everything, probably ever since Jurassic Park, maybe even before that. And the special I saw about it talked about how if they were able to bring back a dinosaur back to life, it would be completely different from what it was back then. I don't remember all the details, but once they did, like, if they, because obviously it all depending on in like the host they put it in, and you know how they would feel like the missing genes and everything of that. Because like the original Jurassic Park, they put the frog DNA in there to film the missing genomes that they needed to complete everything. So that boom, here we go, here's a dinosaur. And so who knows what if that would even be possible or needed for that today to even make that work and everything like that. So that's with the plan for that. I'm hoping. Uh, I mean, cloning can work. They've cloned sheep. That first ever sheep that they cloned, that was an exact replica and duplicate of the the sheep they cloned it from and everything. So, but now doing something like this, where we're literally trying to resurrect a supposedly extinct animal, and all you have to go off of is like little like old DNA, it's gonna be tricky. The only hope for that is somehow get evidence from a living one, and then with that knowing if this came from one that we know is alive and is real, they can connect it, and then be able to maybe start doing it in in the captivity where they can be protective and bred, and try to bring back the species. Because I'm hoping within maybe within the next, let's see, within the next 50 years, I would like the Tasmanian tiger to be unextinct. Excuse me. Okay, to be declared unextinct, because I know they're not extinct. I've seen too many things and heard too many things of people saying one thing, and like some of the videos I've seen have been pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. Let's see. So yeah, so now, so one of those things of like, why haven't we found it then? Yeah, like, again, a lot of times the Tasmanian tiger was normally lived around like the coastal areas of Australia, where people are, not more so in the inland. But maybe they are inland, maybe they moved out there, maybe there's more of them out there. But again, if you don't go to the places where where these things might be, how will you find them if you're not there to see it? And so, and again, especially in Tasmania, as small as Tasmania is in a way compared to mainland Australia, it there is a lot of space in there, and obviously you can't look at every single space at once, especially if they're trying to lay low and be elusive. They're gonna be a little tricky trying to find, and so you could look all over and have a tough time finding them. So now, and then again, that then becomes the argument of many people of wondering like, well, why haven't we found them yet? Well, okay, well, here, Mr. Scientific Man, let me tell you why. How often do you go out into the bush and find a Tasmanian devil? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, the only thing about that. And no, I'm not talking about the guy from Looney Tunes that goes, and a little tornado goes, no, I'm not talking about that. I mean, yes, the real life Tasmanian devil is what inspired the Tasmanian devil from Looney Tunes, was because it's a cute looking creature, but this little guy is aggressive as hell, and it is noisy as hell too. So that's what kind of explained. If I'll try putting up a picture of the Tasmanian devil. If not, you can look it up of what Tasmanian devil looks like. It is the cutest looking thing ever. but like when it's like all being sleepy and everything like that. But they are vicious little monsters. Not gonna tell you that. But yeah, so how often would you say you go into the bush and then you run into a Tasmanian devil, an animal that you know exists, like very much obviously know, and yet you don't see them all over the place. They're laying low. They don't always want to be, they don't want to be seen. Sometimes they want to just do their own thing and just you know not be noticed or bothered by other people. So now take that to an animal, and again, I don't know exactly how many Tasmanian devils there are, but there's obviously a lot more Tasmanian devils than there are Tasmanian tigers. So now implement that into an animal like the Tasmanian tiger. Yes, maybe it may be a bigger creature because the Tasmanian devil are pretty small. They're small little guys, but Tasmanian tiger, it may be bigger, but there's a lot less of them, and they want to be a lot more elusive. It's not that hard if for them to be hiding in parts of the Australian bush that in Tasmania where they just don't want to be seen. And unless you're like really like looking at every single bush you come by, you'll probably never see a Tasmanian. You'll probably rarely ever see a Tasmanian devil. You'll probably hear them because they're noisy little guys. But I don't think you'd ever ever notice them. So I think that's one argument that I do like, and it's a very good argument too. Being like, well, how often do you see this thing? How often do you see that thing? This is another thing. How often do you see that? A lot of times they don't always have answers, and so again, their questioning of it is not wrong. That's not the point I'm trying to make here. The point I'm trying to make here is that it's not as simple as just if we don't see it anymore. If I don't see it around, it doesn't exist. It's not there. No, that's not the case. You can see that for a few different species of animals, like tigers and stuff like that in the wild, are very hard to find, but people obviously clearly know that they're there because they're stealthy, they're quiet, and they try not to be seen, for their own reasons of protection of their protection, of course, like hunting. So who's to say, that Tasmanian tigers don't do the same thing? But obviously just in much more remote places because there's also a lot less of them for you people to be able to see them. So, yeah. So now the other unfortunate thing with if I mentioned earlier, I apologize. That Tasmanian tigers are a very are very ruthless animal. Yes, they do. They probably did kill some sheep. And it's like, ooh, new food source, but like, they kill obviously kangaroos, wallabies, and other animals like that. They have a very unique kill style where they like to go for the throat. So that's what it's also in like they really seem to go for like the head a lot of things, like cleaning it out and everything. And so that's what makes it interesting with some of the modern evidence that supports that the Tasmanian tiger is still around, is because they they keep finding these killings of these animals in a very unique way compared to dingoes that are pretty much kind of like Australians, like dogs in a way, and they're just little pack hunters, and they just they get a kangaroo, they're gonna rip that thing to pieces and just devour it. Now why now with a Tasmanian tiger, they will eat it, but like there's this thing that the neck. They're very cat-like in a way, where cats, if you didn't know this, especially if you ever see in like lions and tigers, mainly lions, because there's a lot of documentaries about lions and them hunting, and jaguars. But when a big cat hunts, cat in general, when they go up to a prey, they grab onto the throat of its prey with its mouth, pretty much crushing its windpipe and suffocating it. So pretty much that's how they like to kill it. Now, while Tasmanian tigers, they like obviously there's no footage or no one really knows for sure on how they exactly hunt. But they seem to go for the throat and just rip that thing out of there pretty much and just destroy the creature's neck, and then just do what they need to do there. So that's pretty interesting when you think with that. So that's how they've been able to think like, oh, maybe maybe they are still around because look at this unique killing that dingoes don't do, and the only thing that could possibly do this is a Tasmanian tiger. So jing jing jing, more evidence leading it towards that. And so, like I also mentioned earlier, that if you're looking for a Tasmanian tiger and there's evidence that there are dingoes around, or you hear them or see them or anything like that, chances are the Tasmanian tigers are not around; they're probably somewhere else. So if you ever go to Australia or Tasmania, no, well, Australia, I'll consider that. Um, and you know there are dingoes around, you're in the wrong area. Try somewhere else. Now, I'm not saying that they're completely gone from the area, but the chances are that they are probably somewhere else where dingoes aren't, so they don't have competition for food. Let's see. Do I have anything else? So Tasmanian tigers are just a very unique cryptid animal that it, when it's kind of the same thing with Bigfoot. It's just a matter of time till we get that one really good footage that clearly shows a Tasmanian tiger. Now, again, footage of Bigfoot, that's a whole other thing. But at least with Tasmanian tiger, a creature that we know what it looks like, there is evidence of it. We know it existed and everything like there. We know it existed because fossil records and video and everything like that. Having in captivity, it's just gonna take that one really good footage that just shows it clear as day, no question about what it is, and be like, "Yep, that's a that's a Tasmanian tiger, all right." And it's just a matter of time. We'll get there, and I'm ready for the day from when we do, because I actually a lot of times when I look up some of these cryptids, get some more information, get some little facts and stuff like that. One of the things they say one site I go to, they mention the first recorded known sighting and the last known sighting that was reported at least. And believe it or not, there have been Tasmanian tiger sightings this year, so that it's still around, and I hope that I am still around. Oh, I know I will be, but I'm hoping sooner rather than later, that they do get evidence, concrete, clear evidence that everyone cannot question about the Tasmanian tiger. Because I personally believe that there is evidence of the Tasmanian tiger that exists here today, but obviously people will be like, I'm not gonna. No, that's something else. Like, no, it's a Tasmanian tiger. Quiet you. And so, fingers crossed for that day. It's the same with Bigfoot, because Bigfoot is another one where it is only a matter of time till we get the evidence we need for Bigfoot. It's not a matter of if; it's just a matter of when. And I know that one will be a bit more difficult, but I'm hoping that one I will be around to see the day that Bigfoot. Sorry about that, everyone. It's getting, for me, recording this is getting a little late. Bad on me, bad. And so, because I'm hoping today that the science finally says that Bigfoot is a known living creature today. These people were right. It'd be like, yes, high five, everyone. And that I think that Bigfoot and the Tasmanian tiger will probably be the next cryptids that it will be like a normal animal for us again. More or less, the Tasmanian tiger will be will be unextincted, de-extinct, not extinct anymore, scientifically proven to not be extinct anymore. And then, of course, Bigfoot being proven that it is a real animal. And I really hope that it's sooner rather than later, and that where that happens, I can enjoy it. Especially for the Bigfoot one, there's a few people's faces I want to rub in it just a little bit. Be like, it's like, you made fun of me all this time, and look, it's real. With a little bit of nanny boo boo, just a little bit though. I'm a humble man. But yeah, I think that will be it for the Tasmanian tiger. I can't think of anything else. I got nothing else more in my notes. Um, oh, that's right. I was trying to find some stories of people of saying that they've seen the Tasmanian tiger and everything, and if more or less there's just articles, not really like stories talking about which or anything like that, but people have seen it, and it's I don't know, it's crazy. It's I'm hoping someday. someday. Anywho, so this now officially concludes our part 3 now part 4 finale of our Australian cryptid extravaganza. And I hope you all enjoyed, a little bit like set of episodes that had a unique theme behind it. If you have a unique theme that you'd want me to tackle or something like that, please put it down in the comments below of the video and let me know. I'm curious, of some of the people's suggestions that people would have for it. And because I thought this was a good one because except me doing because I initially when I did this for the podcast, the radio show back in college, community college, I did it more as a I did all of them in one single episode. But yet when I thought about it, it's like some of these do deserve their own spotlight of an episode dedicated to just them, and so that's what I did. So we start off with Megalania, the giant living reptile, living fossil, the Yowie, this cousin of Bigfoot. We had the other species of other cryptids in Australia not as known or less known of. Then finishing it off with the crowning jewel of Australia, the Tasmanian tiger. And I hope that everyone I hope it all and I hope it was fun for you. I hope you learned something. I hope it opened your minds up a little bit to the possibilities of animals that people say that are extinct may not, and people still seem to say may not be as extinct as people thought. And that's a good one. Is it extinct? There you go. I have to remember how to spell extinct. But yeah, and there's other animals, not really more so cryptids, but other animals that have been so-called extinct, and yet people are still saying they still see them here and there. So, we'll see. But I think that will be it for today's episode. We're around, we're not an hour, but I try to get as close to an hour as I possibly can. It doesn't have to be an hour every single time, but I think an hour is a good time, and I try to get there as close as I possibly can. And so if you enjoyed the video, please let me know in the comments below. Like the video, share. Let some friends and family know about the normal YouTubey thing. Like, share, subscribe. And also of course hit the little bell icon to get notifications about future episodes and everything else like that. And of course, I will be in a festival, the Central Pennsylvania Paranormal Bigfoot Festival in Ellisburg, Pennsylvania, and it's only it's up in the Poconos, about like 7 minutes from Knoebels. So if you know what Knoebels is or have been there or anything like that, it's not far from there. But that's where the festival I'll be. I'll have a table there, and if you're able to, come by, say hi. If not, hopefully people who are listening to this is already after the festival, and you've already met me, and you're like, well, I know I met that guy. I'm now listening to his podcast. Because my goal by the end of the year is to get to 100 subscribers. Not 100. Maybe like 100 subscribers. Because right now, at the recording of this video, we're only at 14. So it's been a little slow. I have not gotten a new subscriber in at least a few weeks. And I guess that's me hoping people share it and stuff like that. Or I probably just start posting on other cryptozoology pages and stuff like that to get people interested in it and everything like that. So we'll see what happens with there. Let's see. Follow and of course, follow the Facebook page, because a lot of stuff I talk about, we put it in there, and some stuff that I put there that may not be in the episode. So make sure you check it there, and that's facebook.com/cryptidtalk. And I think I didn't mention that, and everything, and yeah. So, all right. Well, I hope everyone has a good day. Had a good day at work, and have a good safe weekend, and I'll see you all next week. And remember, keep your eyes and ears open for the creepiness in store, because you never know what you'll find outside of your door. This has been Cryptid Talk with Michael Madden. Have a good day, everyone. Stay squatchy.